Over 40% of Americans still hold creationist views when it comes to the age of the Earth. But what happens when they face scientific arguments?
Special Officer Dookie reporting.
So I wanted to take some time to present the case for creationism.
So what are you talking about for the other 39 minutes of your 39 minutes and 45-second video? And I doubt you'd even need 45 seconds.
A lot of people think creationism is a complete myth and a fraud.
And those people would be right.
But I'm here to tell you that if you actually do the research, you'll come to find that creationism is complete myth and a fraud.
Please subscribe. Now obviously we're gonna go through Matt's video and tear it up into tiny little pieces and then blow it off into the wind. But there is no case for creationism, Matt. It is 100% fabricated to fit in with your religious ideas.
Creation science teaches that God created the world.
Ah, yes, young Matthew, but can it demonstrate or prove that God created the world? No. No, it can't.
And that life started on the land, life was designed by God, that dinosaurs lived recently.
Now, if you're new to my channel or to this type of content in general, you could be forgiven for thinking the last thing that Matt Poowell said was a joke. But sadly, it's not. Young Earth creationists really do believe that dinosaurs and man lived together.
That the flood of Noah happened, which we call catastrophism, that mankind was designed, that the world is 6,000 years old, and that Jesus is the truth.
Now, when you say God designed man, do you mean all 8 billion human beings that are on Earth? And did he do it on an individual basis, or did he just use like a template and then hope for the best with the rest of it?
Evolutionists would have us believe that the world created itself.
Do we? Ah, and there's me thinking evolution and the Big Bang were completely unrelated things. And I will tell you for why. Evolution and the creation of the world address different aspects of the universe's story. The formation of the world, and more broadly the universe, involves cosmological theories like the Big Bang, which explain how the universe and celestial bodies came into existence. And on the other hand, evolution is a biological process that describes how life on Earth has changed and diversified over time, starting from simple organisms to the complex forms we see today. So while evolution deals with life and its development after the Earth already existed, cosmological theories like the Big Bang concern the origins and development of the universe and Earth itself.
That life began in the oceans, that life was eroded from rocks, that dinosaurs lived 65+ million years ago, and that uniformitarianism is true. And they would have us believe that all humans descended from primates, and that the world is 13.7 billion years old, and that Darwinism is the truth.
What the hell does life was eroded from rocks mean, Matt? But anyway, I digress. Don't you think that there may be something to the fact that each one of those things you've just listed on the evolution side of the argument can all be backed up by multiple different fields of scientific evidence?
And I'd like to start on the first point. Either God created the world or the world created itself.
Those aren't the two options, are they? Or at least they wouldn't be if you tried being honest for once. The options would be either God created the world or the world was created as part of the process that created the rest of the universe, i.e. the Big Bang.
Think about it. If everything was not created by an intelligent designer, that means that everything poofed into existence literally from nothing.
No, there was no poof involved, and that's just something young Earth creationists say in a vain attempt to discredit everything that evolution can prove. I have never, not even once, heard somebody on my side of the argument claim that the world was created from nothing.
That is a belief in magic and mysticism. That is sorcery. That's not science.
And a God who lives in the clouds watching over us all and judging us for our actions. Oh, after, of course, he created the world with a snap of his fingers, all while remaining completely invisible to us, isn't belief in magic.
A lot of people think that it's scientific to make the claim that the world could create itself.
No, they don't. Literally nobody has ever said that, Matt.
Check out this quote from Stephen Hawking. He said that because there are laws such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing.
Oh, okay, fine then. Nobody apart from Stephen Hawking said that the universe created itself from nothing. Now, shall I give the context, Matt, or did you want to do it? Okay, fine, I'll do it then. Stephen Hawking's statement, because there are laws like gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing, reflects his theoretical perspective that the laws of physics, particularly gravity, provide a framework by which the universe could spontaneously arise from a state of nothingness. And he suggests that the presence of those physical laws, like gravity, enables the universe to emerge from an absence of space, time, and matter, bypassing the need for a creator or an external force. So that's why you focus on that statement while choosing to ignore the rest of the explanation. Cherry pick much?
But any of us who have studied the laws of thermodynamics know that matter cannot be created or destroyed.
But it can be transformed, and I've always found it quite interesting that you choose to leave that part out.
And so they claim that before the Big Bang, everything was compacted down into an infinitely dense hot point, and then that hot point somehow exploded and created time, space, and matter.
Well, there was no explosion, it was a rapid expansion. And why is it that you and other young Earth creationists seem to imply that we think that all the matter in the universe that we have now is what was crammed into this infinitely small and dense point? Because that's not what the Big Bang Theory tells us.
And even if the universe just poofed into existence via a magic act, that also violates the second law of thermodynamics, because that states that everything in order tends towards disorder. Nothing in nature really tends towards organization. It always tends towards disorganization.
Okay, so by that logic then, your claim is that God created a world which is chaotic and unorganized. Doesn't sound like much of a creator, does he?
They don't just believe that life evolved, they believe that rocks evolved, that you had smaller rocks that somehow morphed into larger rocks. No joke, you can look it up.
That isn't evolution though. Now, rocks do undergo changes through geological processes, which I suppose could be thought of as a kind of evolution in a non-biological context, and if I was feeling generous, which I'm not. But the process you're talking about takes millions of years to happen, which is probably why you bring it up constantly, as if it proves every other branch of science that agrees on the age of the Earth is also wrong. And don't forget, Matt, the claims you make, for one to be wrong, then they would all need to be wrong, and until the day comes where peer review science says, hang on a second, we made a boo-boo, then I will quite happily accept the scientific explanation rather than the biblical one, even if they are really difficult to understand.
It's much easier to just simply say that God created the world and that the world did not create itself.
And bingo, there is the issue. Yes, it would be easier to say that God magically created the world, but that's not true. Not everything is easy to understand, Matt, as much as you'd like that to be the case.
We believe in the creation model that life started on the land, but they will say that life began in the water.
The prevailing scientific theory suggests that life began in water on Earth, supported by multiple lines of evidence. For one, water is awesome at mixing things together, which helped important chemical reactions to happen, and it also shielded early life from harmful radiation, which could have damaged the delicate building blocks of life. Now, the oldest fossils we've found, which are about 3.5 billion years old, are of tiny water creatures living in structures called stromatolites in shallow water. And today we see life forms in tough water environments like hot springs and deep sea vents that survive conditions similar to early Earth, supporting the idea that the first life forms could have thrived in similar spots. And also theories like the RNA world hypothesis suggest the first genetic material, RNA, would have done better in a wet environment.
But if you were to type in on the internet, how does DNA get destroyed? The very first thing that pops up is this. It says DNA is vulnerable. It breaks down in sunlight and in water.
Well, it's not the first thing that comes up when I type it into Google. I'm all for simple explanations, Matt, but that's just beyond simplifying it. Water alone does not typically destroy DNA in a direct, aggressive manner, but it can influence the stability and integrity of DNA under certain conditions. And DNA is quite well protected anyway. It lives inside the nucleus of cells, which make up all all living things. It's not just laying around because somebody threw some DNA into a puddle. And anyway, Matt, using that logic, why aren't we all melting when it rains? You know, like the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz.
Water destroys biology.
Yeah, sure it does. That's why all living organisms are made up of mostly helium. Oh no, wait, I must have missed the chapter in my biology textbook where they said water isn't crucial for all life forms. I guess those scientists just wasted their time discovering that cells are about 70% water. Silly them.
It destroys organic molecules. So to assert that life began in the water or in the oceans when it was raining for 2 million years is ludicrous.
Is it? Ah, well, okay then. So I guess that's why the most advanced life is on other planets in the universe. You know, where there's no water to ruin all those pesky organic molecules.
When detectives do forensic work, they can actually look at somebody that died in fire versus water, and they can trace the DNA molecules of somebody that died in fire easier than it is for tracing them in a situation where somebody died in water.
Now, I don't want to oversimplify this or trivialize somebody's death, but wouldn't the fact that one of them is wet and one of them is burnt be all the clues anybody would need?
And so what that means is water scatters DNA faster than fire does.
Ooh, you're on a roll today, Matt. So all those forensic scientists are wrong about preserving DNA evidence in water. Next time I'll remember to use fire to keep my DNA intact then, shall I? Water does not scatter DNA faster than fire does. In fact, DNA can often be preserved in water for extended periods, whereas fire would rapidly destroy DNA due to the high temperatures.
The Bible tells us that the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Yeah, and the Bible also says that Jonah got swallowed by a whale and survived in its belly for 3 days and 3 nights. So if that's the bar you've set yourself for believability, then everybody that listens to you is screwed.
So life obviously began on the land. It didn't begin in the water.
Yeah, because clearly ancient texts are the ultimate biology textbook. I mean, who needs scientific evidence of life evolving in oceans when we have a book written millennia ago to settle the debate?
But if you were to type in, where did life come from? This is the origin story that they're given. It says that experiments suggest that organic molecules could have been synthesized in the atmosphere of early Earth and rained down into the oceans.
Hang on a second, are you trying to tell me that if you ask Google where life came from, it doesn't say that some invisible man poofed somebody into existence from a pile of dust in his hand? Well, my gast has never been so flabbered, Matt. Oh, you're still here then. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something new. If you did, then you'll probably enjoy this video as well. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you all again very soon, or in a few minutes if you do decide to watch this recommended video. Love you, bye.